On the last episode of Life with Trey and Jay,
when my father passed away, I was like, wait, what? Like, you're not real to me if you can take away my father. So for that amount of time, I just kind of stopped everything. I didn't go to church, I didn't pray, I just didn't understand the concept of it. So when God came to me and was like, yo, like, you really need to be honest, his honesty was talking about, talk to your mom, like, address Poppy, you know, which is my father, like, address him, for real, for real.
Trey, that was serious. That was real. That was real. And I am so glad you answered, because some people don't. You know, some people don't respond to his reaching out to them, you know. So for me, it's been a lot of different ways, you could say. God revealed himself to me, showed himself to be real to me. Like I was saying, I think in one other show episode, that I grew up in church. I grew up, at least my mom trying to push that relationship with God, though she didn't have one herself. We grew up in Catholic church. But it wasn't until this one lady who was my sister's friend's mother came to our house. She invited us to church like a billion times. And my mom was like, no, I'm busy. I do, laundry on Sundays or whatever. I got things to do. But the lady knew that we were super broke. We lived in a very crack-infested, very high-violent neighborhood. Our landlord was a crackhead, so we kind of lived in a building that a lot of people sold drugs and stuff like that. So, and I'm talking about I was like 6 or 7 years old, between the ages of 6 and 9 at that time. And so the lady came to our house. I remember one time she stood in front of me. She didn't even stand in front of me. She went on her knees so I can look at her in the eye. And I remember she like grabbed my shoulder like that. And she was like, Jeanelle, tell your mom or remind mommy to pray every night. And it's only but God that why I took it so seriously. Like, I think about it now, I'm like, why does a 6 or 7 year old take prayer so seriously? And I think it was because I knew I needed an outlet. I was scared. I was scared living in that neighborhood. I remember hearing gunshots every night and just not knowing. Like, I knew my mom could protect me, but once I was outside of that apartment door, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was scared for my brother when he went outside to play basketball. I was scared to go to school. I was just scared. And so that was my outlet. So I just started to pray at that point. It wasn't until about 9 years old that I gave my life to Christ, because I knew I needed whatever they were talking about. I felt like my life, something was wrong. Something was wrong. Like, my dad wasn't always there. I've seen my dad like rough up my mom and he didn't treat her right. So I knew that I needed something else, right? And we all, as human beings, we always want that like bigger picture. We want the higher power as something to look up to say, okay, is it got to be more than this on this earth, right? So even as a little kid, I kind of knew that. So that was that. One day, we went to my grandmother's house after school and we didn't come straight home. And we came home later than usual. And we found that there were gunshots in my apartment. So that means somebody was shooting at somebody else, but stray bullets were in my apartment. And it's crazy because I remember we would always give my mom pictures to draw. Like, we drew pictures and she would put on the wall. And it was around that area that we played while she was cooking and cleaning and whatever. And the bullets were in the pictures. And I remember, and I was so young, but I remember it to this day. And now I'm looking back as an adult, I'm like, God had me this whole time. He had my brother, he had my sister, had my mom this whole time. We survived, you know. Things weren't pretty all the time, but we survived. And so when I got older and walked away from God, because I was like, listen, being a Christian is boring. I can't do what I want to do. I can't be myself. I can't wear this. I can't do that. So I'm like, you know what, God, I'm sick. I was about 16 years old at the time. And I was like, God, when I'm 45, I'll get back to you, because he's proven himself real to me at that point, right? I didn't have a relationship with him, but I knew he could save me when I needed him. He saved my life. He made sure that we were good. So I was like, 45, I think that's a good age. In my mind, that was old and I had done living my life, I guess. And so I was like, all right, see you later. But it wasn't until I was about 22, 23 when I was in a 5-year relationship and that went south. Like, I thought I was getting married to this dude. By the time I was 24, we finally broke up. I felt like the low of the low. I lived with my mom And all of a sudden, I get a call while I'm at work saying, your room is on fire. Like, everything in your room is gone. Like, everything you own, you no longer own because it's burnt to crisp. That year was a really hard year for me. I remember it was 2009. So it was that, the boyfriend situation. Later on, I lost my job, and I always wanted to, I used to work for Puma, like the corporation, and it was a great job, and I lost it. They just they laid off everyone. It was a recession time. So I was broke again. And also, my aunt died that year. My nephew nearly died. He was only 2 years old. And that's a whole nother story. But the point is, I didn't know where to go. And I reverted back to, the little girl that knew where to go when she didn't know where to go. And so I remember sitting on my bed listening to this song. I forgot the song, wow. But it talked about where my help comes from. I know where my help comes from. And I remember crying, because I've heard that song, like, growing up in church, I've heard that song so many times. But that time, it, like, pierced my heart. And I remember thinking, I know where to go. Like, God, you have to help me. Because at that time, I felt very incomplete. Like, something was missing. I remember talking on the phone with my best friend, like, I don't know. I just feel like something is missing. I don't know what it is. And she was like, yeah, me too. She's not a believer. She's not a Christian. But, so she felt the same way. And I remember thinking, but I grew up in that environment, and she didn't. And I was like, I know what that is. Remember back then? Remember when you had some type of relationship with him? And so I was like, God, I need you. Like, I need you. Like, my life is a mess right now. I feel like crap. Like, I felt so depressed. It was my rock bottom, And then with the whole fire thing, people came in groves. Like, my friends, I'm in a sorority, my friends came in, my sorority sisters came in and gave me $3,000. Like, they provided everything that I needed. And I knew it was God using them to help me, because I prayed and he heard me once again. He came and saved me once again. And so, I never got back with that guy, but it was God saving me from a bad relationship. Like, I didn't need to be in that relationship. So that's just one, like, that's a lot. But there's so many other ways that God showed himself to me. But I paid attention. I think that was one. I was so hurt that I paid attention to the prayers that I was asking and him answering it. Because I think a lot of times people pray, like just pray, but they don't look for the answer. They don't look for ways that God is providing it for. Because he might provide it in a way that we don't specifically ask. It might come in a different package. Right. And it did come in it came in packages that I wanted to get back with my boyfriend. We never got back together. I didn't make more money, but people gave me money. Like, I didn't, because I was used to making my money by myself. Like, I was somewhat of a hustler, not like in the streets or whatever, but like, I always worked. I worked since I was 14 years old. I always had that job, and I couldn't get a job. But people gave me money, and I knew that was God providing for me. So, yeah, that's how God showed himself to me.
So you're saying that God showed himself
through people
for you.
And then I started reading the Bible. Like, I always knew the Bible was good to read, but I wasn't interested. And because of that situation, and I was like, yo, he's my friend. Like, we could do life together. Yo. Like, we could vibe out. We could do life together. And so I was like, all right, he's proven himself to me. So I'm like, all right, you love me. And because of the love that I felt like he had for me, I grew love for him. It was him starting first, obviously.
I think what you said was so important, because we have to realize that God speaks to us the way he knows
is best to connect with us.
Will get your attention. Because for you, God may come to you, and it may not, like, it may phase you. You know what I'm saying?
But he hit those pockets for me.
Right.
I had no money.
right. So for Jeanelle, right now, it's like, okay,
heartbroken.
Heartbroken.
Like,
broke, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, coming through.
You know what? You made a very good point, because I was, like, into fashion. I used to work in the fashion industry. Like, I had not a lot of money, but I had my money. I had, like, lots of clothes that I wanted, and he hit my possessions. Like, I didn't own anything at that point. Literally, in one sweep.
From the fire.
I owned nothing. And the funny thing is, it was only my bedroom. My mom's bedroom was fine. My sister's bedroom was fine. Everybody's was fine except for mine. He was like, Jeanelle, hello. And I know he was trying to get my attention before, but I was like, life is good. I don't need you. And then it's like, boom.
I think that's mad real that you, in hindsight, one thing we gotta say is hindsight is 20/20 vision. Like, I could see everything.
Clearly. I can see clearly now.
I can see clearly now. The rain is, right?
But that rain came.
But the rain came, right? So that's really what it's really important for us to say that sometimes it may not look
the way you think it will.
You think it's going to look, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a blessing there.
Yeah, and it hurts, but I'm glad I went through it, and I'm glad he allowed me to, I was in that situation, but I didn't get hurt. Like, I came out winning. So.
Winning in Christ, boo, you really winning.
Winning.
So I think it's really important, like everything that you were saying, because people really need to hear how we hear God and in what ways, because
it's not always like a hear him like I'm hearing you speak. Right.
And right now, Jeanelle, you were talking about how you saw him. Like you were seeing fruits of his work.
Right. Like you physically saw him with your eyes.
I physically saw.
I didn't see it. I've never seen God. But yeah, like I've seen him getting my attention throughout my life.
Yes. So I don't want to say that I physically saw God. Like I don't want y'all to think that I saw him because I would not be alive, obviously.
Right. The Bible said, no, I mean, some people don't know, but the Bible talks about how we'll never see his face.
Yes.
Until we...
Yes. I didn't see his face. I saw a cloud that was depicting him and I heard him. Like, so I saw a cloud and I
How did he sound?
It was just
Tracey.
No, it wasn't even, it was just like, yo, like
it sounded like you.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
Because it does sound like you.
That was so good.
Because he be like, so you gonna just do that? And he don't talk to everybody. He doesn't talk to my mother like that. But I talk like that.
Oh my gosh. Nah, Jeanelle, you got me now. Nah, but for real, like, it's true because what happens is we may think that it's like, oh, he's supposed to sound like this way. No, he sounds...
I am the God of the world.
And what's that movie? What's that movie? The Easter movie. Huh? The Easter movie.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Resurrection?
Anyway, no, it's the Easter movie that everybody sees on ABC.
Oh, I don't know.
The story of Moses.
Oh, the Exodus.
Yes, that story. That's what everybody thinks.
Oh,
that's what I thought he was going to... Yes, I am the Lord. And, I thought that's what he was going to sound like. But when he sounded like me, I was
so
like...
close.
I was like, you sound kind of... Nah, this is my head.
It's funny because the Bible talks about be all things to all people. And, like, God comes down and, like, relates to you.
Because
so he sounds like you. He would, like, hashtag, like, that's how he...
Like he's from Brooklyn, right? Like
in
bro,
2017.
like you was just off the 2 train. Like you was on the, you was on the A. You was what train? Where were you going? You were going to Euclid? Like where you going?
You was going to this time with me, weren't you?
Like for real.
Well, we gotta go, but definitely remember to hit us up. At lifewithtreyandjay@gmail.com.
Yes.
We want to hear from you, what you have to say about this episode, this topic, what you want us to talk about. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of questions.
Yes,
all
we
that.
A lot of stuff, we did say a lot. Shout out to the editor. Okay, because we said a whole lot out here. So when they slicing and dicing this up, for you guys to see it in like a cool like minute or 2, you know what I'm saying? Like shout out to them. Whew.
It's definitely not gonna be a minute.
It's not a minute, you know.
And then also check you in the next episode of Life with Trey
and Jay. Wait. I said Trey and Jay, and I said Jay. I'm like, as if I'm Jay.
She's Trey, and I'm Jay.
It's all right. It was a struggle.
I'm Jeanelle,
we're not excited. Shout out to Life with Trey
and Jay.
And Jay. Bye, guys. That's why it's so beautiful to, you just gotta, I gotta pause.
Just be open.
I gotta pause. I caught a cramp in my leg. My leg is killing. I go to Charlie Horse.
I was like, I thought she was gonna pray or something.
It was like too much.